look like an open-minded person. Will you talk to me? Well, I'm live on the internet. It's not recording you. It's going this way. Now, yeah, and I'm just going to ask you. I will not even argue with you. Hold on, I'll come on this side. Why are you here, and what is the nature of the ostensible dispute between the two camps?
The nature of the dispute between the two camps is that one is unable to accept that some people just want to exist how they are. You know what I mean? We're just showing up to make some noise, drown out, whatever they want to push.
Now, if I were to hypothesize that adults generally don't care what other adults do, and this would be more a question of what should be tolerated in terms of what is put on the children or authorized for children. If we said we all agree that adults can do whatever they want, but the kids need to be protected, would you generally be okay with that?
Yeah, I think that children should be protected. I mean, if you can't tell, I'm repping my, got the pronoun pins and everything, colored hair, nose ring pronouns. I'm not breaking any stereotypes. But at the end of the day, I've been, I guess, shitty at being a girl since I was 8. You know what I mean? I have no interest in, I have no interest in changing who I am to please the opinions of somebody who shows up with prefabricated, pre-bought signs. You know what I mean? There's not an original thought on the other side.
So I'll ask you this: if someone said, I mean, do I ask gender orientation, or am I allowed not to ask that?
You ask whatever you want. If you call me a girl, you're wrong, and that's okay.
Okay.
It's not my job to teach.
If someone says now, as a kid, let's say you're a confused 8-year-old, or you're an 8-year-old who doesn't feel good in their body.
I was an 8-year-old who was a little bit kind of guyish, kind of girlish, kind of guyish. Never fit comfortably in with girls. Never was comfortable in that role, and it was definitely, given a hard time for it. You know what I mean? Whenever people wanted to hurt my feelings, they would call me it, or she, or they, or you know what I mean? And it's funny because now that I claim those as my own, all of a sudden it's like, no, you're a girl now. You're a girl because it's convenient to me. I just want to hurt your feelings.
No, but I guess the question is, as an adult, how do people make an issue with you? People call you she because you look feminine.
Because I got tits. Like, it's, you know what I mean? I'm not, you know what I mean? I understand what I look like, but at my core, there are people who get it and there are people who don't.
Have you taken medication to stop the otherwise normal development of a young girl?
No, I haven't taken any medications.
If one were to say that
I'm fine with this, it's what it is.
Now, would you understand if someone says, I don't think a child should be administered any of those types of medications?
So the thing is that puberty blockers have been given to kids since the 80s for precocious puberty.
Understood.
A lot of people, have precocious puberty and have been taking these medications for the exact purpose of stopping puberty from
precocious puberty, for everybody who doesn't know, is an early onset early period for a girl.
Or for boys, just going through puberty too quickly or too soon. So we already know about the safety of puberty blockers. We've been using them on people who aren't trans for a long time. I think that a lot of people just care about this because Tucker Carlson told them to. You know what I mean? They're bored.
We could agree that there's also a distinction between medically administering medications to prevent damage.
To children for a long time. You know what I mean?
Typically, precocious period is to prevent early onset, but allow the normal development and not to interfere with the normal development. So do you understand? Do you appreciate a difference in the two administration of the drugs?
Definitely. But we've already established that they're not unsafe to give to kids. And if the other option is that the kid is going to go through puberty that causes them to have incredible distress with their body and incredible, sense of shame with how they've developed, we can avoid that. You know what I mean? We have the technology. We've done it. We've progressed as a species to be able to do that sort of thing.
Do you recognize that it does in fact cause some form of, call it harm or not, it causes irreversible alterations to the body?
It's not all reversible. It's not all unreversible. There are some aspects of it that are unreversible.
Like fertility, fully developed genitalia, bone density.
Bone density is one of the only things that is unreversible, but the difference is actually negligible. There are other factors that could cause you to have lower bone density, like lack of vitamin D.
True, but those are medical issues that cause you to have a problem, not cosmetic alterations.
I don't think that the level of, how do I put this? I don't think that it justifies the level of outrage that we see at it. Medications that have been given to kids, again, for years, for decades, suddenly are this huge culture war issue. I just don't buy it.
So that is to say, then you would oppose a ban on administering puberty blockers, hormone replacement therapy, top surgeries, bottom surgeries to children.
My inclination is towards human freedom. Like that's one of my core axioms. I think that anything that bans somebody's freedom to do with their own body what they choose, yeah, I'm against that.
But you realize the obvious reductio of that is if a child chooses to have sex, that would be a problem in that it's illegal.
The reason that that's a problem is because children are too young to have sex. They can't.
But you appreciate there's a very serious logical problem in that they're too young to consent to sex, but not too young to consent to alteration of their bodies for a permanent sense?
What if a child has something, say there's something wrong with their limb, and their limb has to be removed? Do we just let them die?
Well, the difference. Yeah, the difference there would be.
It's going to cause them to die at the end of the day. The thing I'm trying to compare this to is, trans kid and the suicide rate. Say that they have something wrong, an 8-year-old has a problem with their foot, it's gone gangrenous. Do you just leave it because they can't consent?
I would say that the distinction there would be you treat physical ailments with physical solutions, and you do not treat mental issues with physical solutions.
Do you not think, though, that going through puberty that's not, congruent with what your sense of self is? Do you not think that that's physical? You know what I mean? Like I
think going through puberty.
Like if you suddenly started growing like tits or something. Do you not think that would be a physical issue that you want to deal with?
As an adult, I'd say that would be my decision as an adult, and I don't think anybody really cares about what consenting adults do here.
You say that, but I mean, you look at some of the bills in the U.S. They're trying to make it so that nobody can access anything. I think that a lot of these people know what the quiet part of what they're saying is. You know what I mean? I'm not willing to offer that much naivety to this crowd.
I happen to be living in the States right now, and I know that Canadians' understanding of the American laws are wildly inaccurate. But in fact, in Florida, the law is that for adults, it would require a medical diagnosis from an actual doctor and not online or nurses or non-medical practitioners diagnosing, and it would be a ban on kids.
Do you mind me asking, why is this important to you?
For me, it's strictly the question of kids. That's it. A kid is not old enough to consent to sex. They're not old enough to consent to modifying their body any more than they can consent to a tattoo.
Like, for instance, getting like a root canal.
But you're talking. There's a difference between medically necessary and cosmetic.
But I think that's where our issue is that we disagree on what's medically necessary. I don't want kids to kill themselves. You know what I mean? At the end of the day.
Yes, but I think suicide would be what we call what do we call it? There's an intervening cause in law. I forget what the actus novus. Suicide is not the logical, necessary medical conclusion from being denied HRT in the same way that gangrene will result in blood infection. So one is a decision, the other one is a biological result. And the issue would be that children lack the maturity to consent to certain things because they lack the maturity, and therefore,
if they go through the process of going through the freaking Lupron or whatever it is called, if they go through that process and decided, hey, I'm 17, I haven't gone through puberty yet, I've been on these goddamn blockers since I was 11. You know what? I changed my mind. You just stop taking Lupron and whatever it is that you were assigned at birth. You know what I mean?
If it turns out that they have in fact caused meaningful, irreparable damage, stunted genital growth, inability to climax, infertility, would you then be prepared to rethink the issue as relates to kids and kids alone?
If it caused all of these different things, I'm not 100% sure that it does.
No, we have to go with the hypothetical if it does.
I'm not sure that I'm willing to engage with that hypothetical because it seems like we have data, we have a reality, we have an objective world that we live in. I don't know why we need to resort to hypotheticals like this.
If hypothetically I were to suggest it's not a hypothetical and it's a matter of fact, would you then I think you would reconsider.
Irreversible genital change.
Is stunted genital growth, where it's called micropenis in the case of adults. Infertility in the case of
micropenises are because of this.
Because of
never existed before.
If you ask my wife, she might have a different answer to that. But
I've been hearing about these sorts of issues for a long time, well before this became the culture war du jour.
I think we've made progress. I'm gonna, above all else, thank you for talking with me. You might take some flack later on, but
gets all awkward when they're like, "Oh, you're one of those they them."
No,
it's like I mean, shit.
I don't care about that. You seem like a mature adult that knows what you are doing with your body. Doesn't bother me whatsoever. The issue, and I think for most, if not all, is the kids and not the adults. Despite some saying, okay, you're weirdos, but like I say, assholes are going to be assholes regardless of what the issue is.
I think it's also a little bit odd to be spending as much time as some of these people are fixating on the idea of kids' genitals. Like it's
well, some might say that that's exactly true of this side.
You heard of the pedocon theory? You know what I mean? But
some might say that the people who are focusing on the kids' genitals are exactly everyone behind me.
I think that the argument from everyone on the pro-trans side, the LGBTQ alphabet mafia, the people on this side, I think the argument is leave them alone. If they want to do that, that's between them and their doctor and their parents and their therapist and that sort of thing. I don't know why it needs the input of a bunch of strangers who, let's be honest, a lot of them are pretty hateful. You know what I mean?
Let me, not another hypothetical, but female genital mutilation. Do we allow that?
I'm against female genital mutilation as it happens at birth, routine female gentilation. Also against circumcision. You know what I mean? I think once they get to an age where they're able to decide, hey, you know what I mean? This is what I want to do. This is what I want. You can get circumcised as an adult. You can get all of these things done as an adult. If you want to, that's your choice. Leave that.
Well,
to
I'll
the
just say,
person.
anecdotally, I got circumcised. It was so painful I couldn't walk for a year. Bada bing, bada boom.
Wait, at what age?
It's a joke.
Okay,
We're not.
okay. Jesus.
It's an old Jewish joke, people. Thank you very much for talking.
No, thank you for your time.
Enjoy the day. All right, everybody. That was a productive discussion, and that old circumcision joke never gets old. I'll tell you what.